kind of fit the profile, except that maybe they're not so politically end of the world, they're more inspired by a movie.
Yeah, they're hoping for a different kind of end of the world, where you get to party and shoot machine guns and pick up babes and whatever. Right. Yeah.
and just look cool.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. So, where did the story come from? If the end of the world was not the primary angle that you started with, where did you start?
It's a relationship that I went through when I was in my early 20s, and it was fairly devastating. And while sort of picking up the pieces and trying to figure out what happened, I got the idea for the script. So.
I actually noticed you have very high production value for what I hear is very little money, very little funding.
Yes.
So how did you go about doing that? Finding money, finding people?
We never found any money, me and all my friends all like do production stuff. Like we work in production, like making music videos or commercials and stuff. Like, so I had a nice camera. Because I was also a beta tester for this camera company, and so I own a prototype of this camera that I got for free. So we were kind of like, we have a camera, we have a couple of lights, we have a microphone. If we put in the time, which ended up being 4 years, then we can figure it out.
So you actually shot this over a long period of time?
Yeah, there was a main production run in 2008. We shot for 90 days straight, and just with no money, like dragging the whole way. There was 11 of us, and by the end of 90 days, we were like, we got everything we can get, so we had to stop. Because like the Medusa car, the engine blew up, and they couldn't afford to get another one, and they hadn't shot any of the Medusa car stuff yet. Like right when we finally finished transforming it and putting the flamethrowers on it, it died, and we were like, oh crap. So I started editing then at the end of that, and just for the next 3 years, we're just editing and doing pickups whenever I had enough money to get one more shot. We take the car to the desert, or whatever it was that was missing.
In the end, it really is about those two guys, eh?
Yeah, well, it's about friendship and it's about relationships with the two guys and the guy and the girl, yeah.
No, it's got that thing that their brothers stick through to the end.
Oh, yeah.
But did you have someone like that?
Yeah. I have a best friend since I was a kid, who, obviously, when I went through that breakup that was extremely difficult, he helped me out a lot, so. And
built flaming cars with you?
Yeah, when we were kids, yes. So, not flaming cars, but play with fire and stuff.
Where did you get the idea of the whiskey tab?
The whiskey tab? I've always messed with stuff ever since I was a little kid, and when I got my first car when I was 16, I had all these plans for it. I'd started like customizing it, and I wanted to put that, like I wanted to put a secret drink dispenser, because I thought that would be like the most impressive thing for like my friends to be like, whoa, check this out. And then the car broke before I got to do it. So it was still in the back of my mind, and I was...
How about the cockroach eating? Was that also check this out?
I have no idea where that idea came from, but I know that me and Jessie, who plays Millie, had been, like, I knew she was going to play Millie since like years and years ago, and I was always like, if we make this movie, we're going to have to actually eat the crickets. It was like a big deal to us for some reason. So however many years later, when I called her back up and was like, do you still want to make that movie? I think I'm going to do it. And she's like, yes. And I'm like, will you still eat the crickets? And she's like, fuck yeah, I will. Like, so.
Any questions from the audience? Is anyone publiek met een vraag? Ga je gang, we horen je zo.
Why is there so much dirt on the lens?
About 80% of the movie is shot on homemade cameras. They're basically like heavily hacked cameras with like tons of weird. It's a hobby I've had for a long time, and so one of the products of shooting with insane homemade cameras is that they have all kinds of defects built into them, and one of them is dirt.
It's not in front of the lens; it was inside.
It's actually in the camera, yes.
If you go to the website, there's a big photograph.
Yeah, you can see some pictures of the cameras and stuff.
Of the camera, which brings us to the point: why build your own camera for making your first movie? Are there enough cameras in the world already?
Yes, there is actually. It's like I said, I'm not that insane that I was like, I need to build a camera to make this movie for this look that doesn't exist. It was a hobby that I got into like almost 10 years ago when I had a camcorder and I heard that people were making these ground glass 35mm adapters, and they were the first companies that made them. They were $10,000, and I was like, I'll never be able to afford that, but I bet you I can figure out how to build one. So I started trying to build one for my camcorder, and by the time I'd actually figured out how to make it look the way I wanted it to look, I learned quite a bit, and it just became a hobby, and I started replacing the focusing mechanisms and building almost everything. So it was just wherever that whole thing. I realized there's looks you can get with these things that you couldn't get with anything else.
So what is the effect that we see on screen from using this kind of camera?
It's
oversaturated yellows?
Yes, that's one of them. You get more control over the focus. The biggest thing to me is actually because I pick all the parts myself and I grind glass and all this stuff. I can sit there and switch out all these weird parts until I get it to look exactly how I want it to look. So like if someone else made a camera, it's not that hard to do actually. It's time consuming. But if someone else made a camera, it would probably look totally different than mine did because it would be kind of tailored to what they thought looked best. So it became this thing where I started like, the more I was doing it, when I started to use regular cameras, I would feel like I was like naked or something. I was like, I can't get this to look the way I want it to look. So, and the one camera that some of the end of the movie is shot on is a large format camera, so it has a 4" by 5" film plane. So it's actually a moving large format image, which no one's ever seen before. So, which is cool. If you're a camera geek, that's cool. I don't know. Yes. Well, luckily the style of the movie is kind of rough, so it doesn't matter if it goes out of focus. But, yeah.
Stupid question, maybe it's been too long since I've seen that, Max. But Medusa, why the name? Is it?
It's nothing to Medusa. My friend Aaron, who the best friend character is based on, always said that if we ever started a post-apocalypse like biker gang, that we should call it Mother Medusa, because it's like the stupidest, like most generic, obvious, like trashy name for a biker gang. And I think so when I had the idea, however many years later, that the characters in the movie were going to have this gang, it popped in my head. I was like, oh, that joke Aaron used to make about Mother Medusa, that's what it should be. And it wasn't until after I made the movie, someone pointed out to me, they're like, you know, in the theme of like men being destroyed by women, that the gang is called Medusa, and Medusa is the woman who looks at men and turns them to stone. And I was like, I can't believe I didn't put that together myself. I like to think that in the back of my mind, it played into me making the decision to use the name.
How would you like us to put together the end of the movie? Because it becomes disjointed and we become, I think, confused about what is actually happening.
Yes,
it might just be fantasy.
Yes. Wait. Do I want you to do it?
No. I want you to do it. Or evading question. I don't know.
No, I think I've heard about 10 different explanations for the end of the movie. Like ones that are actually solid. If you like, are you like, oh, this is happening, and you look, and there's no holes in it. But it doesn't make a difference to me which one you use, because I think in the end the movie still has the same meaning, no matter which explanation there is. So
I'm going to go with he's deconstructing the memories of his past girlfriend, and so the movie kind of deconstructs at the same time.
That would probably be one.
Yeah. Not the best.
That actually wasn't the best one.
What was the best? What was the craziest?
What was the craziest one that I heard that was actually? I did hear someone said one that was really crazy that actually was totally bulletproof, and I was like, whoa. Wait, I have to think about it for a minute. I can't remember right now.
Okay, another question from the audience in the meantime.
Why did you cast yourself as the main character? Was it just to get a view of Jesse, or?
No, but that would be smart if that
was
I put myself as the main character because it was an idea I'd had for years that the movie was very personal. And I still felt like I was like 26 when we started making this, and I felt like I wasn't as experienced as I could be with directing actors, or even maybe understanding my own movie. So I knew if I put myself in, if I could pull it off, that there would probably be a bunch of stuff that would come across that I didn't even know was coming across that would make it better. And so it was kind of an experiment, and it was brutal. Like I really didn't enjoy that part of it. But in the end, like especially a couple years out from when we first started shooting, a lot of stuff did happen that I didn't plan that fits in so perfectly. Like when I see it, my character will do something or act a certain way, and I'll like turn red because I get so embarrassed. I'm like, Evan, you're such a fucking idiot. You didn't realize, but you're a genius actor for this character because he's supposed to be confused. So.
Was the Lord Humongous part real? Was it really an obsession in your youth?
To some extent, yeah. When I was a kid, like me and my friends saw Mad Max 2 for the first time, and we were like, these guys are awesome. like I think like when I was a kid, I thought Max was awesome because he had the car, and Lord Humongous like scared the crap out of me. Even then, as I got older, I was like, wait, Lord Humongous is the more inspiring character out of the two, like for sure.
About the score, did you get certain people to write it, or did you grab stuff from here and there?
The score, there's the music, like the source music and the background music, and most of that stuff is just from bands that, stuff that me or some of the other guys that were editing the movie were listening to, and we were all like working on trying to make stuff fit over the years. And then all of the songs that play under the visual sequences, like the montages, the guy playing his guitar and singing, and also all the score at the end of the movie is all made by my friend John Keeble. And he left a hard drive at my house and went back home to Canada where he's from. And I was editing one day and I need music for these montages, and I started digging everywhere I could find it, and I finally found that drive. And all of a sudden I put one in and was like, holy crap, I just stumbled on something awesome, and so it ended up being all of his stuff through most of the movie.
Do you have any next project?
Yes, but I don't have any interesting answer for it. I have a script that I'm working on right now. It's almost finished, and I'm super stoked about it. All the people that have been talking to me since this movie had some success in the U.S. all of a sudden now we're gonna actually be able to get a budget for the next one. So I'm gonna be starting on it, but I don't even know how to explain it. So.
This time you're going to have to write the script correctly from the first time around, I suppose.
Or not. Maybe it'll be that process every time.
Will it be a completely different experience, you think, from making this movie, now that you are, let's say, a real director with a real budget?
Yes, I would say definitely so. I'm one of the things I'm worried about right now is making sure that if I do in fact end up with a large budget, I don't know if that's going to happen, that I'm careful not to get locked into like a crazy short schedule or something. I want to be able to work on the project until it's really the best it can be. And also, I just learned a crap load on this movie. Like I said, there was one day I was editing about halfway through working on the project when everything kind of clicked in my head, and I was like, oh my god, I actually understand what this movie's about for the first time. And I didn't even know what it was before that. Like, I didn't even know what I was writing. I was writing whatever I thought I was supposed to write. So.
Would you act in the next one?
I really don't want to. So I'm hoping I can find someone else to play the...
But you would do the stunts.
The stunts?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm guessing there were no cops during the shoot to check if the props were safe.
We thought for sure we were gonna get in trouble with the police a ton. We always had these crazy backup plans. Like the day we blew up the propane tank, we bought dry ice and empty soda bottles and brought them with us in case the police came out and they're like, we heard an explosion. And we already had hid all of our gun and the blown up tank and stuff, and we were gonna be like, oh, we're making dry ice bombs. But it never ended. Like a couple times the cops stopped us, like when we were smashing the car with the fight scene, which is not that exciting at all compared to some of the other stuff. Like the cops came, and they usually were just like whatever and left. So. But we thought we were gonna be in trouble. Yeah.
Right. Any final questions? Then I have one. Is there? And maybe the last one for me. Okay. Explain for those who would like to go home and try it how to build a flamethrower.
How to build a flamethrower. If you don't already know how to build one, you probably should. Because anybody who's mechanically inclined knows how simple it is. Just a pressurized tank with a valve on it and an igniter in front of it. So, I don't know. That thing scares the piss out of me. I just shot it again like 2 weeks ago because they wanted us to make a commercial for iTunes for the DVD release and stuff that's coming up. And so I had to get it out, and just from it sitting there from the fuel, even though we used all the stuff that was rated to handle like diesel fuel and stuff, from it sitting there, because petroleum products melt through everything. So all the seals were destroyed, and like it was just pouring out fuel everywhere. So we had to go through and buy all new seals for every part of it that had like a connector or anything. So I don't know. It's not safe, but it's super fun. So what are you gonna do?
I mean, the shots in the movie where you shoot almost, I don't know how high.
Yeah, that one night shot, that's the wide profile nighttime shot where it shoots a huge flame. And I was not wearing it. I was standing next to it, like holding the igniter to make sure it was staying lit right. And like that was like one of the most surreal moments of my life. So maybe it is good to build one. I don't know.
I bet. Well, thanks for coming and sharing this for us.
Thank you for having me.